make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Now let's hope we're in here right. All right, better late than never. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Our first guest, Miguel Landestoy, is a jazz pianist who has been playing professionally for 15 years and holds degrees from the prestigious New England Conservatory. But that's not all. He's also the host of two fantastic podcasts that we're going to talk about today. So please welcome Miguel Landestoy. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. How are you doing today?
You know what? I'm here. We're here, and so I'm a little bit better. How are you? Although something's happening with my hair. How's your Friday?
It looks great. No, it's a Friday. I can't complain. It's been a long week, but I'm happy it's here. I'm happy it's getting a little warmer. It's it's been chilly up here in the Boston area.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm in South Carolina, also cold. I'm ready for summer, right? Like ready to wake up and have it be warm. Yes. I completely understand. Although I'm from Wisconsin, so my family and friends, it's still snowing there. So I guess we could, I don't need that. What made you fall in love with music? I'm assuming you've been a music lover your entire life.
Yeah, I mean, music has always been a place where I could kind of freely express myself. It's also where I found the best people. I played sports. I did all that kind of thing, but I kept kind of finding myself back in the arts world, be that theater, musical theater, or music, orchestral music, jazz, etc. But yeah, I started playing the piano when I was like 7 years old. My dad said, "You want lessons?" And I said, "Yeah." And then we waited a year, and I was like, "Hey, weren't we supposed to do piano lessons?" He's like, "Got it, gotcha. There it is. Let's do it."
Wow. Is your family creative or in the arts, or was it just you?
Strangely enough, they're not really creative. Like I would say they're not professionally creative. I think everyone in my family has like some artistic bend, but didn't get a chance to pursue it, which I'm very grateful that I was kind of allowed to.
Yeah, isn't that nice? I grew up also the kid who I was playing talk show host in my bedroom and art and creativity, and to have a family that embraces that and enables that is so helpful.
It's huge. I mean, I would say it's rare for I'm a first generation kid. Like my parents are immigrants. I'm the first person in my family born here in America. So, usually you want a doctor, you want a lawyer, you want an engineer, someone who's gonna, be able to help you out later. But instead, they got a musician, and they said okay, which I'm infinitely appreciative of.
When did you decide this is what I want to do with my life? This is my career, not just I love playing the piano.
I was in high school, and I wasn't really doing well. I was a bright kid, but I just didn't apply myself. ADHD, undiagnosed until a couple of years ago, was probably playing a factor. But people were starting to look at colleges, and people were starting to look at what was going to happen after high school. And I kept on saying to myself, no, music is just going to be a hobby. It's going to be a hobby. It's going to be a hobby. And then I just didn't think of anything else I could do that I really would be happy doing. So once I made that decision, it was full bore, just like, all right, how do I do this? Is it college? Is it just going out and making it happen? Both have their merits, but I chose the college route.
I love the sentence of I didn't know there was nothing else I could do. There was nothing else. I think that's such a great, especially for creative people. You try to do. I was one of those people who tried to do everything else, and then once I realized, oh well, there's really nothing else I can do. Everything clicks.
Right. Exactly right.
Do you want to talk about, or can you talk about the health benefits of music, whether that's playing, going to concerts, listening to live music, how that can change a person?
Oh, I love that question because, a lot of people their only interaction with music is through headphones or, just through little AirPods or Bluetooth speakers or what have you, right? And that's totally viable. Do that. It's amazing that we can just carry music around with ourselves at all times. And the air literally changes when you see a live performance. Like the waves in the room are different. It's a communal experience. You're experiencing with others. Some people are going to have different reactions, and you have to deal with that. So I think there's nothing like being in a room with live music. Truly, like I have a mentor from my earlier years who was describing a conference for wind bands, wind symphonies, wind ensembles, and a really high level wind ensemble was playing, and they were all just so in sync, in tune, playing with each other that he was literally like seeing colors. He was like, "This is an insane experience." And I always took that with me. I was like, "Yeah, it can literally just change the air you breathe." It's something that you should. When people online say like, "Go touch grass," go listen to music. Like go see a live concert. It'll do you a lot of good.
I mean, wasn't it? When you're talking about how it actually like changes the air and the atmosphere, wasn't it Taylor Swift who like caused a little mini earthquake during one of her concerts because her fans were moving so much? I mean, that's insane.
Yes. Yes, the tectonic power of Taylor Swift. Yes.
Yes, of course. Yes. What about from the other side of that? Like, I've only been, I'm not a musician. I've only been in the audience and being around all of that. What about the other side? Is you putting out all of that energy as well to the audience?
It can be a double-edged sword. There's a part of it that is very it's very gratifying when it lands, but it's not always going to land because everyone has their own not biases, but feelings, choice on what they like and don't like. For example, like I'm a jazz musician, right? And I use that kind of term loosely because I don't always exactly exemplify what most jazz musicians would say is a jazz musician. But like, yeah, I'm playing a bunch of stuff on the piano. I'm kind of going out into my own little world that might not land with Heather, who came to the jazz club for the first time after her 9 to 5. I don't know, like it might not land. On the other end, when it does, it can be very, very gratifying. So I don't ascribe to the starving artist, kind of ethos. Like you should be able to make a career doing this thing, but know that it's not going to be easy. It's not always going to land with everybody. And you got to have a lot of trust and confidence in what you want to put out, which it's something I still struggle with. And I still try to work through.
Like I said, you've been doing this for like 15 years. Can you talk a little bit about, what do you think it is? Like imposter syndrome, which is, I feel like a term that's being thrown around all the time, but like what makes you think that maybe it's quote unquote not good enough yet?
Oh, the tough questions on a Friday morning, Richard.
I know. I'm so sorry. We don't have enough coffee for this.
Imposter syndrome is definitely a little bit of it, right? You mentioned I went to England Conservatory, excellent school, really, really, really great. And I didn't always fit in exactly like how everyone else thought about things, how everyone else was doing things. And part of that is definitely my skin color. A part of that is definitely my kind of working class like roots. There are a lot of people who go to high level conservatories that have a lot of money, don't worry about student loans, don't worry about taking care of their parents, things like that. So when you have all of those other things that you're kind of worrying about, and you're trying to put something that's artistically viable and true to who you are, those are two competing priorities. And there's like a perception for me, especially of people who just go full bore in 100%, like practice 8 hours a day, do nothing else. And I've always wanted to be that person, but I never could because that's not how my brain works. And that's not how my life works. So I think that's always been like man, if I just practiced, if I just did more, if I just did this, I just did that, I'd be that thing. And I'm in a constant working out how to just let that go and just put out what I want to put out and just be myself. And if I don't play for a couple of months because I have this other thing that I need to do, that's okay. But it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle.
Speaking of putting out music, I mean, that has obviously changed so much how music is made, produced, how it's released. Like you said, you kind of do it as it comes to you, as you feel it. Can you talk about like where you're releasing music, where people can listen to you?
Sure. So you can go to my website, miguellandestoy.com. That has links to most of the things that I'm doing right now. I have a couple of records out with a duo project with me and a good friend of mine, Brett Wahlberg. He's a saxophonist. You can find those on Spotify. It's called 30+2. Don't make me explain the name. But
it's too early. It's too early. I won't.
It's too early.
I've already asked you the hard questions.
You can find those on Spotify and Bandcamp. Proud of those. And I recently started writing music for an audio drama for a book a friend of mine wrote. It's called My Blood the Ink. So you can hear some of my music and leitmotifs and compositions there as well.
When did you get into podcasting?
Right in the middle of the pandemic, as most men did, I guess, in the in the last.
Everybody had a podcast. Yes,
everyone had a podcast. I've always been a huge fan of podcasts. I've also just been a huge fan of conversations and analysis. I like when people go in depth on one topic because it's passionate. It's like it shows that that art matters and that they want to make sure that the world understands why it matters to them. So I've always dug that kind of experience. I listen to a lot of video essays, watch and listen to a lot of video essays, podcasts, audiobooks, and I was sending voice messages to my buddy Jay, who's a fantastic artist and a creative here in Boston, Jay Cottle. And we were sending these voice messages back and forth of just like all our opinions on all these little bits of media or TV shows or whatever. And I was like, this is just as good as anything anyone else is putting out there. So why not do it ourselves? So we figured out how to start a podcast. And then so that is how Playblack came about, which is kind of like my general like media show from the perspective of artists of color. And then the BIPOC Artist Hour, I really love interviews. I like interviewing people, and I like highlighting the experiences of artists of color like me who have unique experiences. Like I was kind of saying, the imposter syndrome being a very prominent experience around high level artists of color. So I was able to get a grant when I was at NEC to do the first season, and I was able to pay the artists. I was able to like really have a nice infrastructure around it. And we're actually going to be doing a second season in the near future, still nailing down some dates.
Wow. But the first one is, are you still doing episodes of the first one?
Yeah, Playblack is still doing episodes. We're on a break right now. We released our last episode covering, I think, Captain America: Brave New World, the new Marvel movie, I want to say about 2-3 weeks ago. So if that's fresh in your mind, go for it.
And that's obviously wherever people get podcasts.
Exactly. Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, Patreon soon, and we'll go from there.
Okay, cool. What are you working on now? What's happening in your world?
Really, the audio drama. We're in like week to week production on the audio drama, and it's really cool if you like fantasy but want it to be a bit more diverse. It's a really great. It's just a great story, kind of classic coming of age tale, but with POC characters. And I've been working a lot on that, honestly. That's been cool. Taking up most of my airtime, and we're really proud of it. It's coming out really well.
Okay, good. What do you love most about your life right now?
That it's getting warmer. That it's getting warmer, and that I have a wonderful support system around me. My partner Kelsey is a fantastic human being. They've been gone for like a week and I've been completely off kilter. I always forget how
Oh.
how just like off balance I am when I don't have my person around me. And my pup Scooter, he's in the other room, just waiting for me to be done with this. Not that I want to be done with this, but he's always begging.
Yes, I have 2 dogs in the house, a Great Dane and a Great Pyrenees right now. So the fact that neither of them are in here is a shock. So I get that. Yes.
Honestly,
yeah.
I keep on just looking over my shoulder, just seeing if he pops his head in.
What's the best way that people can connect with you and support you?
For sure. Hit me up on Instagram. It's a silly name, Miguel_Wiggle. Thank you. Good old high school, maybe middle school me for that one. But on Instagram, I post there generally for most of my stuff. Of course, you can check out MiguelLandestoy.com, where you'll have links to the podcast as well as links to some of my live performances that have been videotaped. And those are probably the 2 best ways.
Okay, good. You also, because you're so nice, sent along some music for everybody that we're gonna be able to watch. Can you tell everybody about what they're about to witness?
Sure. This is a clip from my master's recital at NEC, and it's a tune I wrote called for Gigi. It's my at the time my niece had just been born, and she's a sweet little one. I'd written some of these beforehand, and it sounded a little bit like a lullaby. So I thought, why not name it for her? Yeah.
Why not? I love that. Well, thank you so much for jumping on and for chatting with me this morning and for bringing some music to everybody.
Thank you for having me. This is the make your day richer aspect is like filling my heart. So thank you for having this wonderful show and having me on.
We'll come back anytime. You know where to find me. Just click the link and I'll probably be here.
Amazing.
Miguel Landestoy, everybody. Here is some music from him, and we'll be right back with Amethysta Herrick. Don't go away. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. All right, we're back, everybody. We often think of identity and gender as issues specific to the LGBTQ plus community, but our guest today is challenging that very notion. With a background spanning genetics, chemistry, software engineering, and management, they bring a unique perspective to this crucial conversation. They teach that identity and gender are ongoing processes, that every human being, I can read, must navigate throughout their lives. Using analogy, storytelling, and their own transgender experience, they transform complex concepts and engaging and accessible content. It is Friday and I have not had enough coffee. I'm so sorry. They also have a great podcast called Gender Identity Weekly. Please welcome Amethysta Herrick.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here because I think this is such an important discussion and topic, and I'm glad you're spearheading it all.
Thank you. I don't know if
pressure.
I'm spearheading.
No pressure.
Yeah, clearly. Thank you. I appreciate you making it really low key right off the bat.
Yeah. No pressure to be here at all. I do want to talk about your podcast, though. Speaking of pressure, the podcast is called Gender Identity Weekly. When did you start that?
Wow, it was about the end of 2023. So I think at this point I've got 53, 54 episodes, something like that. We talk about like the origin and the nature of identity, how we become who we are, and then obviously gender. We're throwing that into it as well. The idea, so the website is genderidentitytoday.com, with the idea being that our identity is continually evolving, right? I mean, it's not, you don't just go, well, this is my identity and that's it for, from like you're born and then you have one identity. It continually evolves. And so the idea with the name of that was Gender Identity Today. How are you today? Who are you doing today? And then the weekly I just threw in there because it was like, well, once a week I'm doing a podcast. Maybe I should have done monthly. I don't know. Gender Identity Fortnightly sounded good too, but
whatever. You can always change it. It's fine.
Right.
Yes. We'll tell everybody what when it comes out, obviously weekly, but what date it comes out, and where they can find it.
Yeah, it's usually Fridays on YouTube for sure. And then it actually goes across many different Fridays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, I should say. And so it comes out also on, like all the podcast networks, Apple and Spotify and Amazon and pretty much all of them. So, but
and tell everybody kind of what you're talking about on the pod. Are you bringing in guests? I just think people putting out great content, and you don't realize when people are making podcasts how much of, I used to say how much work it is, but now I see how much of a commitment it is. And so I like to celebrate when people are putting out good podcasts.
Oh, thank you. Originally, this is sort of a stupid story. Maybe it's an interesting story, but I transitioned gender in 2022. So it's been a little more than 2 years since I put on the first estrogen patch and started presenting as a woman as opposed to presenting as a man. And at the very beginning of 2023, what I said to myself was, if I don't force myself to work on voice, I'm not going to. I thought, well, the best way I can do this is I'm going to start recording a podcast and putting it out there because that will make me, work on it. Yes. So originally I was just asking people, what's the kind of person you're like? And it originally started where I said, give me 5 words that describe you. And that turned into an hour-long show like you do. And then at some point I went, wow, that's a lot of cognitive load to have to try to figure out somebody's identity over the course of an hour with 5 words. So then I just started talking to myself. And that when then by the time I got to Gender Identity Weekly, I said, the thing is that I liked talking to other people, but I wanted to be able to talk about something other than, what was your background? I wanted more, something that was more, what do I call it? Public interest type stuff. What are you actually doing in the world? But we talk, it's how do we exist in the universe, and why do we exist in the universe? And so I don't know. It's really gone all over the map. I've also talked to a few people just about sex. That's really it. So I try to be eclectic because gender and identity is the entire human experience. So I think that's about all. I think that's about all I would say.
Did it feel like, or what brought you to like, you know what, I need to be the one to talk about this. I need to be the one to raise my voice?
That's an excellent question. So when I put on my first estrogen patch, July 7th, 2022, so it was obviously a very important day for me. I had 52 years. So at the time I was 52 years old, 52 years of presenting as a man, knowing that was wrong. And it hurt. I mean, I was crabby and I was old, and I wasn't just waiting to die. I was hoping to die. And it was, it's a miserable existence. Honestly, it was. So I put on my first estrogen patch, and within about 2 weeks, I noticed these phenomenal cognitive changes. In particular, like I started feeling emotions, and I never had really experienced that before. And I realized also my relationship with physical pain was kind of odd too, because then I started feeling physical pain. I think you might go, wait a minute, you didn't feel pain? Not really.
You're sort of numb, right?
Oh yeah, very numb.
Not sort of, very, yeah.
Yes, very. So within about, let me see, it was November 1st, 2022 that I decided I'm retiring from a career in technology because the cognitive changes were so tremendous. And I knew I had to do research on myself and then research on the community. And it's interesting. At first, I just started writing about the transgender experience. And then I realized, this is really more like the greater LGBTQ experience. And then pretty quickly, I realized, no, this is really just a human experience. And when you look around today, it's interesting how we see social norms being sort of pitched as natural laws. Women wear makeup, except our president-elect wears makeup, so, women wear high heels, except, apparently the governor of Florida, wears high heels. So, there are social norms that we know change over time. And yet we try to pitch these things as inviolable. And so that's why I started writing and why I started podcasting and why I continue to do all these things, because, first of all, with a background as a scientist, I look at things with a sort of an eye for biology. And especially when I look at how biology has been misrepresented from both sides, I just, there's a wealth of information that I can cover for the rest of my life. And that's why I had to raise my voice. Because I look around and I go, there's a lot of ignorance. And I don't mind ignorance, because ignorance can be solved very easily. You just learn, right? That's not hard. When it becomes willful, that's a bummer, but that's what I try to address. Because I try really hard not to be, I don't know if I want to use the word screechy, but it works. Some of the people in the transgender community get very angry because of our treatment. And I would much rather have a conversation with somebody and make a friend than remain enemies with somebody. So that's what I do. That's why I had to raise my voice, because I know that there's education that I can give to the world. Yeah.
That's a great answer. Outside of the podcast, how else are you speaking up?
I have done presentations to private and public organizations. I still write. Originally, I was only writing, and it wasn't, for what it's worth, I started doing video just so that it would force me to work on hair and makeup and other presentation. I have to keep pushing myself and outside of my comfort zone to make these things occur. So I've been writing, I've been doing the podcasting. I actually started a video blog. What do we call that? A vlog, I guess.
A vlog now? Yeah, I guess.
Right. So I went to Thailand this past summer for gender affirming surgery. And I never really intended to do much video, but I started doing a video a day because I struggled with insurance here in the US. And so I wanted to, I don't know if I would say do an expose, but I wanted to show, look, you can do this. You can go outside of the US and get exceptional healthcare, which I did. So I'm doing some vlogs, I'm writing, I'm still doing the podcast, I'm still doing public speaking.
Why do you think gender and identity, why do you think it's so critical to every human?
As humans, I think that's our purpose, is to look inside and discover the person we are. We know that there are some biological bases of behavior, emotion, cognition, let me say. Because when you're hungry, you get angry more quickly. There both women and men have hormonal cycles. I should say males and females have hormonal cycles, but each of us, none of us fits into a perfect mold. And so what we need to do is figure out who we are and then bring that into the world. And I think that's honestly it's a moral obligation for us to bring to the world everything that we can. So that's a little philosophical. Just from a practical sort of social standpoint, the social norms are meant to evolve. And if we don't allow them to evolve, we end up stagnating. And people like you, people like me, we push some of these norms, which, by the way, I want to mention, what a beautiful shirt you're wearing there. I really enjoy that.
Thanks.
See? And so that's part of it, right? We're pushing some of these norms. And so it helps the evolution of the human species, literally helps the evolution of the human species.
Why are some people so afraid of talking about it, of it existing? Is it just the knowledge? Is it because it's so crazy to me that some people even care and care enough on the negative part of
Right.
caring, there's so much wasted energy being angry and opposing things.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think you answered your own question. I think it's fear.
Yeah.
When we always have to be evolving, that means we can't stand still. And many people don't like the idea of anything changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand that, because for 52 years I thought, well, this is just going to be my life, right?
Yeah.
But I will tell you, in 2.5 years since then, so many great things have happened. Now I really, truly want to be alive. I want to see where this is all going to go. I can't imagine trying to be stagnant, wanting to be stagnant. But I think it's fear. It's fear of the unknown. And I understand it, although certainly what it does is hurt all of us to force the entire species into, a stagnation and inertia.
Yeah. How do you not go into since it went from, I was like, Wizard of Oz black and white into Technicolor is how this probably feels in my brain for you. Where you don't succumb to the I wish I would have done this sooner. I wish I would have been more honest with myself sooner and live in the moment and be present.
Gosh, that is really one of the big transgender, like, deep questions. Because I will tell you, by the time I was 12 years old, this would have been early 1980s, I was well aware I was going to do this someday. I knew it, but I didn't do it. And it took another 40 years before I did. But in those 40 years, I did, I ended up finishing, my undergraduate degree. I finished a PhD in chemistry. I ended up meeting a wonderful woman. We ended up having an incredible son. So there are some, would I call them regrets? I don't know if I'd call it regret, because I look back at the rest of my life and I go, well, because my name used to be Robert. So which I never was able to say very well. I don't know if you heard it, Robert. I just can't say it, but but I look back and I go, look at everything that Robert did. I mean, it was a lot. And so I can regret this, or I can say, now Amethysta moving forward can do even more. If Robert could do that much as stopped up and in pain as he was, imagine what Amethysta can do. So there's no doubt I wish I had done this earlier, but if I had, maybe I wouldn't have found this wonderful woman. Probably we wouldn't have our wonderful son.
Okay.
And so it's hard to feel regret, real regret. I hope that answered that well.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Well, because in so many ways you had so much success. You had so much success, but imagine, what else could have happened, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
You've been honest too, but why, how could you regret anything that happened earlier, with your son? And,
I think now too, because, I told you I was in technology and I ended up getting to executive management, type level, vice president of engineering type positions. And I don't think I ever would have reached those positions. So there's like two ways that I feel about this. Cause I could go, I wouldn't have reached those positions and that would have been a bummer because I would have made less money and everything. But what I think I did for my first 52 years was honestly play into the American dream that really was a lie. I believe that the only thing that measured my success was, the number of dollar signs that were coming through the door. And I don't agree with that anymore. I really don't. The other thing that I will say, and this was the other direction I was going to go, is that now I actually have seen literally both sides, because I've been, executive management where I had to be very directing and take a group and go, we're going this direction, we're doing it. And now I've also been able to go to a mechanic and have the mechanic go, so you see, little lady, that's called a tire. And I go, ooh, a tire. That's the thing that's on the road then?
Yeah.
Is
How do you spell that? Yeah.
Is it T? Oh my gosh, you would have thought.
Yeah.
So I've seen both sides, and I think there's actual value in that. I think there's a lot of value to be able to say, look, I can demonstrate what it feels like both to have a bunch of power and then be stripped of all that power. And so, I think that's it's important socially. I think that we recognize that, and very few people really can show that. So
yeah.
I feel like there was a different point I was going to go for, but I did get to twirl my hair, and
that's really all that matters. So when you figure that out, just come back and tell me.
Sure.
What do you love most about your life right now?
Oh gosh, the first thing that came to mind is going to be nice and vulgar. Now I have boobs. That's it is true. I have always like coveted the feminine form, and so now now I have boobs. That's great. The other thing I really truly appreciate, I felt like in technology I did, because my first job was like putting satellites into space, and that's important, right? I mean, ultimately that's kind of cool. I've worked on electrical smart grid problems, and that was pretty cool too. I worked on the North American cellular 911 service. That was pretty cool too. So all of these are really neat. And what I do now helps. I watch an actual person become. I don't even know how else to put that. I've seen people start off very withdrawn, and I have nothing to give to the world to look at who I am.
Yeah.
And that is beautiful. I don't know how else to put it. There's no other, I would not give that up.
Yeah.
So what I enjoy the most is seeing people become, I think I'm going to put a period. Yeah, let it go.
And we'll stop there too. What is the best way that people can connect with you and follow you and support you?
So I have my personal website is at amethysta.io. That's amethysta.io, because I'm very cool. .io was the cool thing in technology for a while there. And then I had mentioned before, genderidentitytoday.com. That has all of my professional work. I also take contributions on Gender Identity Today. So if anybody out there goes, oh my gosh, I'd love to write about identity and gender, hit me up through my personal website, and I'd love to publish you. So that's how to get in touch with me.
That's a great resource. Thank you for sharing your story and for being here and for doing the work you're doing.
Thank you, Richard. I can't tell you how much, I appreciate that you reached out. I appreciate this invitation. Any chance to talk about how we can make the world a better place is very important to me.
Yeah. No pressure. Again, no pressure, but go save the world, would you?
I'm on it.
Thank you. Let me know how that goes. We'll check in monthly to see how the world's going.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Are you tired of the same old drinks? Let your taste buds travel. Honkaku Spirits delivers authentic Japanese spirits right to your door. From family distilleries in southern Japan, they bring you exquisite small batch shochu, awamori, koji whiskey, and gin. It's more than a drink, it's a journey to Japan in every sip. Discover your new favorite spirit at honkaku.com and enjoy free U.S. shipping on any order. Thanks for sponsoring the show, Honkaku Spirits.
Oh, StreamYard. Hey, Christopher Pellegrini from Honkaku Spirits is coming back on the show to do a live tasting with us. And these are the drinks that he has so nicely sent to the show for us to taste with him in an upcoming episode. So go to honkakuspirits.com, get yourself those drinks, and do a live tasting with us at 10 a.m. Why wouldn't you want to do that? I don't know. It's Friday, which means the end of the month, Friday, the last Friday of the month, which means bingo from me. I'm going to bingo tonight because that's what I do at 40 years old. The lovely HOA in our community puts bingo on, and hopefully I'll be winning some prizes. So tune in on Monday to find out what I won. All right. What else do I have to tell you? That is it. We're over on time, so I'm going to go. Have a great weekend, everyone. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. I want to thank Miguel for sticking around because we had a bunch of technical issues, which is why we didn't start on time today. And Amethysta was recorded already, so they didn't care if we were late or not. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you on Monday with an all new episode. Bye-bye.